Okay, Kendra, you can take over the host now. You're good. I'm already logging, so you can.
You have to give it to me. It won't just let me take it over.
So how do you do that on your side? I've never given anybody.
And participants, you go to
Participants?
participants,
Okay. Then
and then find her over
participant,
there. And there's the three dots on the side.
where is she? Well, yeah, this one.
Click on the dots. And then
As
it
to
goes,
okay, make co-host or make host. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now you're good now.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Then let me. We okay. The meeting has been started. You can invite. The video is open. It's 10 o'clock. Okay, you don't want to stop.
the volume, you have it on yet, the sound?
Pardon?
Do we have to admit you before we can see this?
Right.
I'm gonna have to start letting people in. Max, do you know if there's a reason why it won't let me record to the cloud?
You can. If you want to record, I can record. Click on record.
Yeah, it's saying unable to start cloud recording, contact the meeting host or their account admin for more information.
Okay, request O to start recording. Send request to you now. Check it. Do you get anything?
Yeah, I clicked OK and it's telling me the same thing, unable to cloud record.
Okay, you want me to record to this computer?
If it allows you to record to the cloud from there.
I'm seeing two options here. Request to record to this computer or request O to start recording clouds recording, which I sent to you so that you can record to the cloud.
Yeah, it's not letting me do it. Start
Anyway,
recording.
you still gotta have the record on YouTube anyway. If you need it at any time, we can send it to you.
Okay. No, I just wanted to make sure that we're still able to have the link for
It
people to
should be
go
on
back and
your
look at
side.
it if they need to.
Yeah, that should be supposed to be on your side because you are the host.
Yeah, it's not letting me.
I don't know why that is happening for some reason. No,
Kendrick. I
Mhm.
guess, should I click admit all?
Say again?
Should I do, you want me to admit everyone or are you doing that? I think I can do it. Okay.
Okay, who can pin me to the top? Can you do it, Cheryl, or does it need to be Kendra?
pin you to the top.
To pin me to the top of the Zoom?
Okay, well, I can do that.
Okay.
Once they admit you, you are not in yet.
I'm not in yet.
Yes, once they accept you in, then you show up. So you want to be pinned with these people then.
Pinned with which?
You want to be pinned to the
Okay,
Zoom
I'm
so
gonna
that
go ahead
everybody
and-
can see you.
I want to be pinned to this one for my
Yeah.
face. Not, they don't need to see me from afar, they need to see me here.
Yes, can't do it from your computer.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm admitting everybody.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see. Click on that. Yeah. Join with audio. Click OK.
And you too.
If you want to pin, you can pin.
Oh, okay.
One pin. You might pin over there. That's
Not good. Not good. Okay. Let's not pin me at all then. How can we get it back to where it was? We need to remove the pin.
exactly. That's what you see.
So instead of seeing the room, can you have my face here?
Everybody back in your house.
Thank you all for your patience. We'll be starting shortly.
Okay. We're hearing two of people. So we need to change the audio somehow. Okay. You all hear me? There's an echo. I think we have an echo.
Is your computer okay?
Mine is on. Might be.
Speaking.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I'm ready. Let me make sure we have. Yes, we do. Okay. Good morning, IDD Advisory Committee and support staff and guests. Welcome to the January 24th Advisory Committee. And the time is 10:10 a.m. 1 moment. And I would like to call this meeting to order. This meeting is being held via Zoom at the Higher Education Coordinating Board's offices. Before we begin, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome those that have joined via video conference and ask them to adhere to the following etiquette. Please be aware that although we are meeting via Zoom, this meeting is still being broadcast via the internet. Mute your microphone when not speaking. Always keep your camera on. The staff at THECB will establish a quorum through a roll call. Each member should identify himself or herself prior to speaking for the record. Wait for one person to finish before speaking. Otherwise, comments may be muddled or unclear. And motions will be voted on by roll call. Now we're at agenda item 2. Members will be, Cheryl will be giving us our roll call, please.
Okay, if you would, please respond to confirm that you're on the call once I call your name. We'll start with our presiding officer, Linda Litzinger.
Here.
Karen Banger,
Here.
Brenda Barrio,
Here.
Jackie Benestante,
Here.
Christy Watson Gibson, Leticia Lasota,
She's on the screen.
Here, sorry. I couldn't find my microphone. I'm here.
okay. Kristen Gooch,
Here.
Christina Gushanas, Abby Hughes, Susan Maraska,
Here.
Edward O'Neill, Christine Price,
Here.
Jolene Sanders, Sabrina Gonzalez Sacedo.
I'm here on her behalf.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Tamara Chatron, Beth Stalvey,
Here.
Laura Villarreal,
Here.
Lauren Woolfolk, Nina Luna.
Here.
Thank you, Cheryl. As we have new members today that we wish to welcome and thank them for joining our group, and we are very excited about this, let's take a moment to introduce ourselves when I call on you. Our new members are Jackie Benestante and Leticia Lasota, who were approved yesterday by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. We will begin with both of you, and then I'll go across my screen and call on everyone else. Jackie, would you like to begin?
Sure, I'll begin. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be part of this group. I spoke to you all about my son's experiences at I think it's your last meeting, but I'm the executive director at the Autism Society of Texas. I've worked here 9 years now. I've been exec director about 3 years. I have a son on the spectrum who is in college now. He first went to Austin Community College, and he is now at Texas State and living in the dorm this year for the first time. So I'm excited, really excited. A very big, aside from personal stake, and then also just happy to be here to, to improve things for young adults with autism and everyone with disabilities. So thank you.
Thank you. Leticia, would you be next, please? Leticia, do you want us to move on? Okay, we will move on, please. Let's see, Nina and then Beth.
Apologies. I didn't realize I was considered a new member.
No, we're doing all the members too.
Oh, all the members. Oh, so
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Nina Zuna, Texas Center for Disability Studies.
Thank you. Beth
Hi,
and then Christine.
Beth Stalvey, Texas Council for Developmental Disabilities.
Thank you. Christine and then Brenda.
Hi, I'm Christine Price from Austin Community College STEP program. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Brenda and then Sue Maresca.
Hi, everybody. Brenda Barrio, the University of North Texas, and representing the UNT Elevar Inclusive Postsecondary Education Program. Thank you, and great to see everybody.
Thank you, Sue, and then Erin.
Hi, good morning. I'm Sue Maraska, and I'm the director of our Houston Community College VAST Academy. And I'm so happy to be here and welcome Leticia and Jackie. We're so excited to have you join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron, and then Kristen Gooch.
Hi, Aaron Bangor, representing the Texas Education Agency's Continuing Advisory Committee for Special Education, representing a parent of a child in the special education system. Day job is at AT&T.
Thank you. Kristen and then Laura Villarreal.
Hi everyone, my name is Kristen Gooch. I live here in Austin, Texas. I'm a self-advocate, actress, disability advocate, and I have a bachelor's degree in communication disorders from Texas State University. And I'm on this committee to make sure that the college and higher education experience is more equitable for disabled students.
Thank you. Laura and then Letitia Lasota.
Hi, Laura Villarreal. I'm with TWC's Vocational Rehab Program.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Leticia Lasota. I'm here with Texas A&M in College Station in the Center on Disability and Development.
Thank
Working
you.
for this program.
Good. We're so very glad to have you. I'm Linda Litzinger. I'm a parent first, and my daughter was born with a quadriplegic condition, and one of her many college degrees is English, so she's also my wordsmith, and very happy to be here. So we have some staff here. Cheryl, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Cheryl McWilliams, and I am a program specialist with the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and I am a grant manager for one of the grants that we have, and also work with advocacy groups, including the IDD population.
Thank you. And I forgot to say that I'm advocacy and policy director, parent to parent. Sorry about that. Kendra, do you want to introduce yourself? I see you on the screen.
Sure, I'm Kendra Horn. I am the administrative assistant for the Student Success Division here at the Higher Education Coordinating Board.
Thank you. We're very beholden to all of you for your support. So we thank you for all of this. I would like to welcome our guests today, Michael Clark, and then we're going to have Christine Morrison introduce herself in 2 shakes after we do the meeting minutes. Michael?
Hey there, I'm Michael Clark, the Deputy Director of Public Policy and Advocacy for the ARC of Texas, and I'm here on behalf of Sabrina Gonzalez Salcedo, who's the Director of Public Policy and Advocacy at the ARC.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Cheryl, would it be okay to do agenda item 3? Are we all set for that? The meeting minutes?
Yes, they were sent out with the invitation.
Yes,
several
and
months ago.
it's okay to vote now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will accept a recommendation for approving the meeting minutes of October 22nd. May I have a motion, please?
I motion to approve.
Okay, Christine Price motions to approve the meeting minutes of October 22nd. Do we have a second?
This is Brenda Barrio. I second.
Thank you, Brenda Barrio. Seconds the motion. We are going to need to vote by calling on each person because we're virtual. So, Cheryl, do you go through with the list yourself?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That would be lovely.
Linda Litzinger,
Approve.
Aaron Banger,
Approved.
Brenda Barrio,
Approve.
Jackie Benstante,
I wasn't at that whole meeting, since it's my first real meeting. So I didn't feel like I should vote to approve minutes I wasn't at. right? Okay.
True. Okay. So you're abstaining?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Christy Watson Gibson, she's not here. Letitia Lesotho,
She's new today too.
new, okay. Kristen Gooch,
Approve.
Christina Gashanis. Oh, she's
not here.
Suzanne Marasco,
Approve.
Christine Price,
Approve.
Beth Stalvey,
Approved.
Laura Villarreal,
Approved.
and Nina Zuna.
Approved.
Okay, thank you very much. The minutes pass. Okay, now I'm excited about our next section, which is the state of IDD and autism. In other words, keeping it real. Last month, we heard from two parents who have students with autism in the college system, and one of them was Jackie, and that's how we grabbed her for this committee. And the other one was equally as good, but her son is now a graduate, and it took him a year to find an engineering job, but with Bloom Consulting helping, he now has a good job that has autism support within the company. So I called Christine and I said, may we hear from somebody at Bloom Consulting who helped you? And she said, she gave me a name and said that she would be wonderful. And I called that person and she said, I have somebody that's even more wonderful. So that's how we have Christine Morrison today. And so I would like to introduce Christine Morrison. She's a Bloom Consulting Campus Connection Coordinator, serving students across several states. So she can give us a good comparison. We are very excited to hear your perception of autism programs in the states you cover and how those colleges and the contractors they hire are assisting students to find summer internships and post-graduation employment as part of the college experience. Please begin as you're ready, and we probably will have some questions for you at the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I work for Bloom Consulting. I'm the coordinator of Campus Connections. Our program has gone through a little bit of change in the last year. When I started with Bloom, we had 60 students in the state of Texas. 99% of them came through referrals from Texas Workforce Commission. We had some changes in our contracts with the state last year. So any students that we work with in Texas are now private pay students. We no longer have that contract with the state of Texas. My other students we work with are in the state of Nevada. All of the students that we have in our program have some sort of disability and are in some type of post-secondary certificate program, community college, four-year school program. And I, as well as being the coordinator, I'm also one of the coaches. So I work directly with the students. I was telling Linda when we were talking last week, there's kind of no set topic that we have. We have a very fluid relationship with our students because there are so many different needs that show up when one of our students is in school. So we always start with academic success and, work with them on things like time management, prioritizing social activities with academic things, encouraging involvement in different clubs on campus if they live on campus, transportation to get to school, how to manage their accommodations. We've just my students in Nevada just started this week, the 21st. So the last couple of weeks we've spent making sure that their accommodations are up to date with the Office of Disabilities at whatever school they're in, with teaching them ways to communicate with their professor, making sure that we go through the syllabus to address any of the small nuances that professors always have when they're teaching. And one of the things that our students have a really tough time with is starting a new semester, because they just got used to what was happening in the prior semester, and now it's new professors, it's new schedules, it's new people. So there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of just don't know what to do. It's a very busy couple of weeks. As far as Bloom goes, we offer, we being myself and the other coach she's actually based in Nevada. I'm in Austin, Texas. So we have weekly sessions on things like, did somebody have a question?
No, I think it's because
Okay, sorry. um, helping with the FAFSA. I had a student who was in a panic yesterday because she gets a scholarship and she needed to be full-time, but she only needed 9 credits to graduate, but now she wants to change her major. So that was just like a whole thing navigating. I mean, I'm sure everyone remembers what it's like to figure out how to get in touch with the registrar, the financial aid office, and all of these things can be so overwhelming for our students. When we had our Texas students, many of mine were at ACC and Texas State, UT, we all over the state of Texas. So the schools through their disability office are really trying to address a lot of the needs, but it's almost overwhelming because of the sheer number of students, just the general student body, but then break it down to all of the different needs. So at Bloom, we try to address whatever comes up. I mean, we've had, dating and making friends. I connected 2 students, one who is strictly virtual, one who is so wanting to make a friend. That was his main goal to go to college. I want to make some friends. And I was able to connect these two students, and now they talk. And the sheer joy of my one student getting a friend, and then the other one, do you think he likes me? So there's so many different anecdotes and so many different things that go into someone going to college. I mean, I personally feel like every freshman should have somebody there to help guide them figure out, go to the library to study, like it's a good idea. Reach out to your professor. One of the hardest issues is that whole communication piece. I was working with a student yesterday and we were talking about an assignment, and he goes, you know what? I'm going to email my student right now. And I was like, great, do it. And he emailed and he got his answer, and we went on. He's now a sophomore. Last year, he would never have done that. So to have, we're an accountability coach, we're, someone to talk to if they're overwhelmed with roommate issues or just I could literally go on and on about all the different things that they have to face, but that's what we do at Bloom. And it's a great job, and it's awesome to see these students succeed. And where there is a lack is when they graduate, because I have students that have, a 4-year degree in communications or marketing, and they're still reaching out to me to try and help them find a job. And I was saying to Linda, the lack of education on a lot of employers' parts to hire people with disabilities, whether it be physical or emotional, whatever, IDD, that they just don't understand what a great employee they would get. And when we had students in Texas, part of what I did was work with students who graduated to help them find employment. And it was not easy, and it was not quick. But I had some great placements. And so I was, we were very sad to lose the Texas part of our program. But like I said, it would now be a private pay situation, which is hard for a lot of families. So I could keep going on and on, but I know, Liz, you said you wanted to be about 5 minutes. So if anybody has any questions that they want to ask.
Anybody?
Bring it
I have a couple, but I'll save them for the end.
Okay.
What? I'm curious. Where do you see the school helping with some of this, and where does it stop? For example, when you're in high school, you produce a stack of paper that's probably 15 feet deep in homework. And when you get to college, third of your grade is the final, third of your grade is the midterm, and maybe there's a couple papers or something. And that's all you produce. There's not the systematic level of homework. Do you see the Office of Student Support helping a student make that transition, or does it always need to be a contractor? What are you seeing across the 2 states you've served?
So what I see is that you've got a tutoring center, and then you have the Disability Resource Center. Disability Resource Center, if the student is confident enough to go there, they'll say, let's get you some tutoring. That involves the student going to the tutoring center, setting up the appointments to go, and putting themselves out there in that position to do that. As far as the difference between high school and college, I literally told a student yesterday, they're like, well, they didn't tell me that. And I was like, that's why we're reading the syllabus, because you're in college. And the professor actually said, you're in college now. These are your expectations. So there's I feel like, and this is my personal opinion, that there's a huge disconnect between the expectations of students in high school and then the expectations once they set foot on a college campus. I guess the thought is that you're here in college, you can do the work. And yes, they can do the work, but like you said, the amount of work can be very, very overwhelming. And colleges, they might have what they call like an academic coach. I know ACC has the academic center. I used to meet my student there every week, and he'd rent his little room, and we'd have our meeting, and he learned about tutoring there and all the different services. So schools are definitely recognizing that students can be overwhelmed with the level of workload, but at the same time, they still expect them to perform. So again, in my opinion, I think there's a really big disconnect between expectations in high school and expectations for any post-secondary program, whether it's, certificate, trade school, whatever. So that's where I come in. That's a lot of what I do, is helping them manage their homework and put it on calendars so they can see you've got blocks of time here so you can work on this, that sort of thing.
Thank you. Sue has a question.
Well, first of all, thank you, Christine, for what you do. That is what's needed. And I'm with Houston Community College Vast Academy. And of course, what's provided by our ADA ability services is one thing, reasonable accommodations, tutoring. Those colleges and universities like Houston Community College and Austin Community College, and those that have a specific program serving students with IDD, we have that as well. And of course, we've all worked with our students doing some of the same things that you guys are doing. We do it informally. Students leave VAST, we want to help them transition, but there's never enough. It seems like there's so much more that's needed for these students, so they don't fall between the cracks when they make that transition. And not everybody needs a program like ours. Some can go right into these programs, but they may need that little extra level of support. It's almost like mini case management. One thing I did want to say, I wanted to kind of mention, I don't know how many other colleges and universities are doing this, but I know our college, Houston Community College, for a while now, our QEP our quality enhancement program has been personalized learning pathways. So our college, the whole entire district, is doing a lot more wraparound services. There's a lot more success coaches now and academic coaches for all students and at-risk students. We have a college readiness division that we are under now, and I know there's more there, but even with all of these things that are starting to happen, and we were fortunate enough to get a grant with the Moody Foundation that's just starting, and we are actually hiring a success coach full-time and 2 part-time transition specialists to do exactly the kinds of things that you guys are doing for 3 years, so that we can show our administration, look, by having this extra level of support, these students can complete these workforce-specific, industry-specific certificates and degrees by having that extra level of support, and kind of like mini case management in a way. And then we're going to be building peer mentoring programs as well. But all of these kinds of supports are really what these students are needing, whether they're on the spectrum, whether they're IDD, or whether they're intellectual disability, because just getting those accommodations and tutoring is not enough for many of these students, and it takes them much longer. They need someone to check in. If they're fortunate enough to have a college or university that has a special program, they may come back to us for extra supports. But there's so many other students that maybe are not in those special type of programs. And I think when the colleges and universities see they can invest in more of those types of positions, like success coaches and that kind of thing. But we're going to try to do this pilot for 3 years to show that this is one of the missing links and something that's really important, that's needed, so that we can expand and serve more students. And there's another grant that our College Readiness Instructional Division got. I believe it's through the coordinating board, and they're going to be doing these resource centers and it's going to include all at-risk type students. We're included, thank God, in these meetings and planning and getting ready for this, because they're realizing that many students, not just our population of students that we're serving, but a lot of other groups, there may be services, but a lot of them don't know what those services are. There's resources, they may not know what those resources are. So at our college, part of that grant, that other grant, is going to be to create these resource centers and train everybody so that they can come to those resource centers so they can get connected with the different services, because it can be very overwhelming. I agree with students going to college, and it is very different. One of the things we need to stress as well is high schools. We need to, as much as we can, let the high schools, educators, transition coordinators, let them know, students and parents, it is different when they come to college, because in many cases they are thinking they may be able to get those same accommodations, or they're actually looking at modifications. In high school, they're getting a lot of modifications in the curriculum, and that's not going to happen at the college level. So if there's anything we can do in this council to help share that part, that is what's needed, that educating and making aware the high schools, so that when they leave high school, they can make that successful transition and not have those expectations that they're going to get those same modifications and then get a rude awakening, like, oh, wow, because that's one of the challenges that we're still seeing. It's getting better, but that's an area too that we need to look at, is that transition from high school to college and the expectations.
Thank you.
Yeah, we actually just became a vendor in Arizona. And the program is going to be working with high school seniors, their senior year, that want to go to college. And it's going to involve college applications, that whole process. and then the acceptance process, the financial process, all of those things to get them. And then I believe it's through their first year of college. So that's something that's just happened with our company. Haven't gotten our first Arizona student yet, but excited about that because that gap is a tough one. And socially too. So social is such a huge part of the experience for these students, and that's a really hard concept for a lot of my students. So love that
Thank you.
you got the grant and
Thank
the
you.
program.
Thank you so very much. And I hope that in our report, we reflect all those good things that Sue just mentioned have been developed. And Christine, it sounds like you were an integral part in getting our campuses to, sounds like maybe do a little more than they used to, which may be why your grant wasn't repeated, but it sounds like Bloom has been doing an excellent job, and we thank you for it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you
being
so
able to
much.
share what we do.
Okay, thank you for coming. Okay. We don't have any public comments today, but I would like to announce that our most recent public commenters who were concerned about a lack of fire rescue equipment and having practices and drills with it have worked hard in the Texas Capitol, and Senator Menendez has filed a bill for them. And so more about that to come. Okay, and next is agenda item 5, the autism report that comes from the 88th legislative session, Senate Bill 55, our subcommittee presentations. And our first subcommittee is the best practice subcommittee. And I'm going to start with a slide that was submitted by Beth Stalvey, and she has put some thought into this topic. And then it's followed by, we received a lot of input from various members of ideas and articles that they're reading. And so I have a slide just to show the front of each article. And when we get to that article, if you want to say anything about it, please do. If not, tell us to move on. And on my slide deck, Kendra, can you turn it to that first one, please? Thank you so much. It'd be right here. Yes. Okay. The members are Christine Price, Tammy Shetra, and Brenda Barrio, Christina Gushanis, and Sue Maraska. And all of you have sent me many articles. It's my greatest fear getting 200, 300 emails a day that I've missed somebody's input. So if I overlook you, please speak up. Okay. And Beth sent this slide in to me. Beth, would you explain it, please?
Sure. Thank you, Linda. This is a summary of, as Linda said, many conversations about the charge. Again, just to remind everyone, in the bill, the charge is to identify and examine best practices and program modules from public and private institutions of higher education outside the state that have achieved successful results in working with students with autism spectrum disorder. And so the conversations so far have been around how that might be conducted to be able to get the best practices and then to make those recommendations. And so here are some possible steps. First, identifying higher education programs outside of Texas. As all all of you are familiar with the Think College resource. There may be others that give some program details as a starting point to be able to identify programs to examine. Then the council does have a role to advise on this charge. And so looking at what we have put in our previous reports, identifying what criteria might be considered a best practice model. This could also come from other sources, such as the National Clearinghouse on Autism Evidence and Practice, and some other places that we could look at in terms of best practice models. Depending on how many are identified, I think that it may be most efficient to be able to identify a sample of those programs, maybe 5 to 8, maybe 10. I'm not sure what the number would be that we could identify as programs that had most or all of the best practice components that are identified. Then in order to be able to make recommendations, I think that these identified programs, it might be worth interviewing some of the staff or making calls to get additional details that are not included on resources such as Think College. Sometimes there's more information, sometimes resources like a Think College may not be as up to date as we might want it. So making some phone calls, asking questions about degree programs, the cost of the program to the college and to the student, independent living supports, and those types of factors. And then making a comparison between the programs that are in Texas versus these national models. So first, do Texas programs have similar best practice components? What is missing and should be added? And then that comparison analysis might lead to the recommendations that are asked for in this charge.
Thank you. And then I might add a bullet. What do we have in Texas that maybe needs to be shared among colleges that they haven't heard of yet that the other universities doing? Okay, thank you. Any questions, guys, about this slide? It's a very good summary. And you're welcome to be on this committee too if you want. So anyways, okay. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the college internship program. Is that what that says? And it was sent to me by this committee. Would anybody like to comment on why they chose this article? Okay. All right, we'll go to the next slide. I know they're working on it. The next one is Discover Spark, how to find the right college for autistic students. Anyone? Okay. Hi, Sue.
I'm trying to remember. I don't have my list in front of me. That might have been one that I did. I can't remember. I looked at so many, but I think it was me that picked this one because they had a lot of resources and tips and, how to find the right college. And it covered so many different areas that were important for autistic students going to college. And so I thought it was worth us exploring, because they had so many different tips and resources, to share. And I just thought it was a good one, but.
Okay, so we look forward to the ideas in it to be included in the report.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. This is the Navigate Life Texas website from HHSC. It's developed by them, and it covers every kind of topic that a family or self-advocate would want to quickly learn about. And in this movie, there are 2 students who have autism talking about getting ready for college and being in college. And I don't remember who sent this one to me. Anybody else want to comment?
I sent that one too, because I figured that's something we should all be aware of since it's our state.
Thank you. And incidentally, Parent to Parent is contracted for producing Navigate Live Texas. So we're fond of it too. Okay, next slide, please. And the PACER is a national clearinghouse. It used to have a newspaper in print that came out, and now it's, totally virtual. And they have produced some leading edge things for 3 decades. Anyone want to comment about this article? Was that you, Sue?
That was me too. Yes. Because there's just so many things that we can be looking at and resources and tips, from here as well, because it is important. Transition is important before they come to the colleges and universities, preparing these students and their families to make that transition is important. And also for employment too.
Thank you. Okay. These are good. These get us started. Next slide, please. And I don't know much about this one at all. Does anybody remember who sent in Lehigh Carbon? Community College? Okay. It may have been Christine Bushanis who suddenly had to be at a funeral today. So I think that may have been her. Next slide, please. Okay. And this is a true study, which is good to have too. Sue, was that you?
I don't think that was mine, but it looks interesting. I would love to read that one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, more to follow from your
It's more
committee.
about the transition preparation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next one, please. Okay, VR's role in the seamless transition from higher education to employment. Those 2 articles came in together. So more about that when we have Christina back. Next slide, please.
I did that one because we got the Star Award last year and we attended that conference, and it had to do with, building a talent strong Texas and how we are contributing to our state goals and, with the higher edge, building a talent strong Texas, that's we're all, completion is very important now. So all of us are utilizing, I think all of our programs in Texas are not only looking at our credential that we offer at each of our colleges, but getting more of our students to get mini credentials, micro credentials, digital badges, completing those, because that's the new funding model. But I see it not just, this is a new funding model. For us, we see it as having our students to be able to get more competitive employment when they finish, because they're going to be getting more industry specific digital, workforce badges and credentials, so that they will be able to get better employment, more competitive employment that is, in cutting edge types of technology and fields, and high demand, higher pay. So I thought that would be I just wanted to share that with everybody, because that one was more talking about that conference that we had where the Star Award was given, but it does talk about the goals, of the state.
Excellent, thank you. The other 4 recipients was their thinking along the same lines, or did they win for other reasons?
Well, each of them was different. They all have different initiatives that they did to contribute to this one or more of their goals. I think we were the only program of our kind that got it, if I'm not mistaken. There might have been one other. Some of them were departments at different colleges and universities.
Okay.
UNT Oliver was the other recipient that's similar to Sue's program.
That's right. I forgot. I don't have the list in front of me to see, but yeah. Okay.
It's all good.
Brenda, do you remember what part of your program was the reason why you won it?
Yeah, I think various reasons. The building a talent strong Texas. So it was very much connected to workforce development and specifically, supporting individuals with IDD, and having those not only the pathway for workforce, but really, building the foundation both academically and with the employment, and then of course the supports that we provide here at UNT.
Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. This was an article. It sounds like they're talking about it has a little oversight. Everybody did their own thing. I'm not sure if they're going to conclude it needs more oversight. Did anybody remember about this article? It may have been Christina's. Okay. More about that later, guys. And I have the whole list of URLs. If anybody wants to get deep into it, I'll send the entire list out to everybody at the end of this meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, this one was about A&M offering job training for students with disabilities. Did that come from anyone here? Okay, when I send out the list, I'll tell you who sent it, who chose it. Okay, next slide, please. This one covers Dallas College. Anyone want to comment? And we'll just keep running through if not. And next slide, please.
Oh, the one with Dallas, I consulted with them to assist them, but they started a new program. It just started. It's a brand new program at Dallas College. And that was an article about it. So I wanted to share that with this group.
Okay. Is that a degree program or a different kind of support program?
It's certificate.
Okay.
But workforce certificate, yes.
Okay, next slide, please. And VEST is on this slide.
That's just an article that was published in the Chronicle maybe a couple years ago. I think it might have been 2 years now, but it has a little overview about what we offer and some of our success.
Okay, great, thank you. And the next slide is UNT. And there's 4 programs shoved onto this slide. Anyone want to talk about it?
Sure. I wanted to share some of the examples of programs. So UNT Engage is for traditional students that are degree seeking, that are neurodivergent. And very similarly to UNT Elevar, they have, advising, they support students academically, but also have a very, very strong connection with TWC, and they contract with them to provide additional services, especially with employment. And so they've been running for quite a while. As I think I've shared a lot about UNT Elevar already, but EPIC is actually a donor funded program that specifically focuses on the social aspects. So they do a lot of events where students who are neurodivergent, specifically those with ASD, can get together. They can, similar to a club, they can join and do a lot of activities together. So just to, in general, how many neurodiversity initiatives we have. We also have some that are directly to staff and faculty who are also part of the community, but then also faculty development or instructor development. So we can provide services with best practices or evidence-based practices as well.
Thank you. So This is a good one to end this committee with, I think, because we're looking for something that's this robust in every state to see how they're a little bit different from each other. If there's any new ideas that we don't have in our state. Because this one looks very robust for students with autism as it is. So we know there must be more out there, and that will be what we need to find as we continue with this committee. Did anyone else on the committee want to say anything, or does anybody have any questions before we move to the TEA Collaboration Committee? Going once, twice. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you guys very much for sending me so many ideas. Okay, next is the TEA committee. And this slide was from Beth. Do you want to review this slide, Beth?
Yes, thank you, Linda. So
Thank you.
the charge to this committee, as you see here, collaborate with TEA regarding specialized programs offered by elementary or secondary schools for students with ASD to determine how programs could be replicated or extended in post-secondary institutions. Our committee is myself, Kristen Gooch, Erin Bangor, Leticia Lasota, and Jolene Sanders. And so in our discussions about being able to address this charge, obviously maybe the first step is to review the current programs in Texas. When speaking with TEA, there is not an official list of specialized programs offered in elementary or secondary schools for students with ASD. However, they do have a grant program for specialized autism programming. I spoke with Nathan Pullen, who is the state autism coordinator in the Department of Special Education at TEA, and he talked about this grant program. They have over 60 LEAs. The grantees, I think more than 100. They are compiling the data. They have 2-year worth of data and impacts and outcomes based on these grants, and they are planning to release that data in the next month or so. So I think it's good timing to be able to have that as sort of a starting point. Then once we are able to see that list and some of those outcomes, the role of this council was to advise on what some promising practices are and which programs or components should be replicated or extended. I think that our committee had a conversation about this, and it's already been mentioned here today, the use of computer equipment, for example, and technology. One of our committee members was talking similar to what was said earlier about how you have resources and you have other things that you've been using all through K-12 and transition, and then all of a sudden that's taken away, and then not only are you starting a school or a college campus, but now you're having to learn a new technology or learn new ways to do things that you had always been doing before, and how that just sort of adds a little bit of stress. So we also had some comments about making sure that we are identifying programs or recommending that we are making things available to non-English speaking students. And then I think there's a lot of other recommendations that would come from this committee, from the report that we have already produced, and some other discussion, and then other best practices that might come from a review of the literature. And so I think the committee has a question about whether or not we want to sort of stop there with what already exists, or would there be additional questions that we have to be able to talk about replication or extension? And if we do have additional questions, would we be able to contact some of the local education agencies or educational service centers? And if we do that, then what does that data collection and analysis look like? So that's sort of where we are in terms of discussion.
Thank you very much. Anything else from this committee? The next slide is the, yeah, yes, thank you, Beth. The next slide is the old study from 2020. Do you, it's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 slides. Do you want to say anything about it or anything, Beth? I included it in case.
I don't know that I need to say anything specifically about that. I'm not sure if the next report will follow this format, although I would expect that it would. You can see here that the sample size in this report was 10 LEAs. And so now they are reporting 60 to 100 LEAs. And so we would expect that there is some more data and additional outcomes and recommendations. And so we can certainly compare it to this. This was a bill that was passed in the 85th session, and the report came out in 2020. So we are a little bit further along, and it will be interesting to compare and see how these programs have evolved.
And this new version is also from that House Bill 21, or is it a new bill with new items?
I'm not exactly sure. I think that would be a question for TEA. I think it is just following up to the similar grant program and just evaluating their investments in these grants for specialized programs.
Okay, thank you. The next slide, I think, lists those 10 ISDs that were used. Yeah. We can just keep going. Consistent findings are in there. I'll send these slides out to you guys in case you're interested in some of these, and as well as the list of URLs. Okay.
I do think they are planning to have a consistent findings section, which is helpful because then they have looked across all these programs and identified some common threads.
Okay, good. Okay, new slide, please. And now it starts, the rest of this is just an analysis by ISD. And do you want to say anything about that, Beth, or shall we just continue on?
I don't have anything specific, just made available as a resource.
Okay, let's go scroll on through this then, and you all know it's coming in case you want to read anything. In case this was your ISD, it's coming. Okay, and that brings us to our last committee, which is the data committee, which we are charged with collaborating with TEA regarding specialized programs offered by elementary or secondary schools for students with autism spectrum disorder to determine how programs could be replicated at or extended in post-secondary institutions. And the members are Edward O'Neill, Nina Zuna, Christy Gibson, Abby Hughes, and Laura Villarreal. Per Senate Bill 55, thank you, Senator Zafrani, the data committee must identify the number of students with ASD who graduate from secondary schools, the number with ASD who then enroll in higher education, the graduation rates of students with ASD enrolled in higher education, and the financial assistance available to students with ASD who enroll in higher education. So Edward O'Neill has been working with THECB for the data about the number of students with ASD who are enrolled in higher education. And we have a report in the next few slides. Does anybody else from this committee want to say anything more before we get into the report?
Yes, this is Nina Zuna, and Ed and I co-chair this subcommittee. So like you mentioned, we just got the PowerPoint from the Higher Education Coordinating Board. It looks like it addresses the higher education numbers. We do not have the numbers from TEA for the secondary schools yet. And then the second part of our charge is looking at the financial assistance available to students. So our committee has started doing searches developed a couple of search terms that we were using. So we have an Excel sheet that is looking specifically at scholarships that are available and then scholarship databases. So far it's been fairly limited in terms of specific scholarships. We're running into, after our searches of each of us finding some of the same scholarships, I think the databases might be the better way for parents and young adults to search for, because most of them will be in the scholarship databases. And then we'll also have a small section on, additional support resources like things from TWC, help FAFSA, any types of financial aid. But we were a little bit limited. So definitely if folks on the call have other suggestions of what we might be missing to include for financial assistance available for students with ASD. So I'll pause. Let's see, Sue's hand is up. Maybe she has some good suggestions.
Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, well, first of all, thank you. This is awesome. The CTP, of course, we do have some programs that are CTP. We are one of the CTP. We're getting more and more of our students now. This is our third year having students actually getting Pell Grant to come to our program. So we're excited about that. But I wanted to mention when you talked about scholarships, not all scholarships are like, when you're just getting out of high school applying for a scholarship for any college or university. You may want to check with each college or university. I'd be more than happy to email you the list of the scholarships that we specifically have for VAST, because I don't know, I'm sure we're not the only ones that, every college and university has a foundation or development office. Our HCCS foundation, that's their job, is to get scholarships from private, from private funders, from, foundations. And we've been fortunate enough to have one we've had for about 15 years now. It's called the Assistance League of Houston. And they have been giving us, they give specifically $10,000 a year to VAST. And last year they gave us $20,000 this past year. So we've had that partnership for years where they're contributing, but it's through the HCC Foundation. We also have now the Lift Foundation just gave us $10,000 for scholarships. We've had a trustee in the past, one of our board of trustees who started a account or a fund just for VAST students. And it's a small, because, it earns interest every year, off of there. One of our instructors, her husband had passed away recently, and he was a math instructor, and he started, a memorial scholarship in his name. So, but I know that our foundation is actively always looking, not just for us, but for the whole college, and also our students can apply for any of the scholarships through our HCCS Foundation, not just the ones that are unique to just our program. So I'm just saying that's another area that the general public may not know, but when they come to our program, we tell them, here's a scholarship you can apply for, or here's what you can apply for. So I think that there are those. And then of course, this CTP, any program that can get, if you have a special IDD program at your college or university, trying to become an approved CTP is one way to get financial aid if you are a non-credit continuing ed, but you have to have that, a credential, and you have to meet those guidelines to be a CTP, to get that financial aid. But I think that, like, what is that one, the Down the rainbow, something, the rainbow call, rainbow.
Ruby's Rainbow.
Yeah,
Ruby's
that's
Rainbow.
one that's open to a lot of people. I'm not sure if people are aware that the March of Dimes, I don't know if they do that, I guess throughout Texas, but we haven't done that lately, but we used to give blood drives on campus, and then our college then had so many numbers of scholarships that students could apply for. It was $500 each, but that was another one that has happened through the years. But I think with us actually having our foundation, we actually have a foundation like the Assistance League of Houston, for example, who is donating that money specifically for our program. So I don't know how many of those programs can do the same or may have, because those are not listed usually somewhere. They're on the HCC Foundation website, So, but that's another area that students, because I think all college and universities have some type of development or foundation office that any student can apply for scholarships. And there may be some that are not, you don't have to necessarily be a specific program like ours. You know, any college student should be able to apply for some of those scholarships that are at, I don't know, Christine, do you have, oh. You have a foundation, I'm sure, at Austin Community College, right?
Yeah, we have a foundation, and we have a scholarship, a STEPS scholarship foundation as well. And typically it's always been funded by parents who their child has graduated. So they've donated because they were, happy and wanted to give back. And we typically grant like it's like one class worth each semester per student or per students who sign up. And then there are other little scholarships. We have not done the CPT, and I really want your assistance with that now that things are starting to calm down in my program. I want to reach out and do that because I need to. It's been on my to-do. But yeah, that's that. Ruby's Rainbow, obviously TWC, and then any college Texas savings fund that students have or parents have set up when they were little. Those actually work with our program too, and I think they work with yours as well. So things like that, but it is pretty limited.
No,
the
and then
number
there's waivers, the waivers
yeah,
that some people
waivers
qualify for, different waivers.
Yeah,
So
thank
that-
thank you. I want to say thank you, Sue, for both of those ideas, and Christine. I did have colleges listed, like I put UT as an example because it does have a database there. It was very limited when I narrowed it down to disability, and of course it's only going to apply for the students who are matriculating at UT. It wouldn't apply for our specific program, but that was a question for our committee because it's not like I could list every university right in Texas, but like maybe we put a few examples and describe in the report. Don't forget to go look at the university website because many of them scholarships are only listed there. So that was going to be our approach for that, but I didn't have some of these others listed. I'm pretty sure I didn't have Ruby's Rainbow or March of Dimes, but we could. I don't know if we want to list any additional foundations, like the Houston Community Foundation or some of those others, if you think they would go outside of your college. But just something to think about. Yeah, so definitely if others have ideas, feel free to email me and I will incorporate it in. I see Jackie's hand is up.
Yes, and Jackie, you put a lot in the chat, so please explain that too.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, the chat was just on other resources, and if I join a committee, I'd be happy to join that committee because just personally, I've been like in a deep hole, and I hadn't heard of a lot of those resources that were just shared. So I was like, where are these resources being found? Which is great, but then it just makes me wonder how parents are finding those. But what I wanted to ask was actually about this. I'm really curious how in SB 55 the committee's actually finding accurate numbers because we're working on. Like I do a lot of public policy as well, which Linda knows, but we have a lot of students with autism, as y'all probably know, in high school, and especially the level 1 students that are probably the most likely group to head off to college are not being identified with autism a lot. They're not actually getting the autism diagnosis. They've got like ADHD or 504 or something else, and they're not in special ed. I know a lot of people that went through high school, even though they had a medical diagnosis of autism, the school didn't recognize it. And the parents were like, oh, whatever, he's got some accommodations or it's fine. So didn't actually have that in their records officially in their education records. And then similarly, I know students with autism now that are in higher education and like Christine, I think our guest mentioned, like those students have to be motivated to seek out disability services and have those, you've got to have those skills to go do that. So you got to kind of self-identify. So how, there's no registry for students in college declaring they have an autism diagnosis. And there's tons that are like, yeah, I don't want to do accommodations, or I'm embarrassed, or I have a good friend whose son is like in engineering, absolutely will not do disability services, even though it'd probably help him. But how do you get accurate numbers here? Or will you use demographic data based on like 1 in 36 and the sheer volume of college students?
Well, we haven't gotten the TEA data yet, but you make a good point. If they're not diagnosed or recognized in the educational data, then they're probably not going to show up in the data, right? I mean, because they have to report accurate numbers for that. And for the Higher Education Coordinating Board, so maybe whoever created that report, our team has not had an opportunity to look through all of the details. So I would assume that the same principles would apply. If they're not identifying, they're not going to be included. I'm not sure all of, and if the universities did not submit the data, then it's probably not included. So I'd have to go look at, and ask questions about the methodology, and maybe those, Cheryl or others that are on the call from the Higher Education Coordinating Board, if you have more details on how that data was collected, at least at the university level, that would be helpful.
Nina, we did have some data, TEA shared some data with us. And I think Waylon had sent it out like December the 5th. And he resent it just recently. I don't know if you recall receiving it, but he sent it
Okay,
again.
thank you. I thought that we were still waiting on some summaries. It wasn't the exact, it was
the
just a
next-
link. It was just a link, I think, but not an actual report or specific details.
There was an attachment, but he resent it. That you may get a chance to look at it. There may be more coming, but I know that we did receive some.
Okay, I know Ed is heading that up, so he might have more details on that.
From TEA, that data?
No, yes.
Okay.
In terms of helping with this part of the committee, the data.
Okay. So the next slides are the data that we just got. Like, I received it in the night and I haven't read it yet, but I included it. Has anybody read it?
THECB data.
This is THECB data, and it just came. Ed and Nina have been working on getting it. And have any of you all read it? Do you want to even talk about it, or do you want to read it for the first time here? It's about 8 slides, I think, and I threw them in here early this morning.
Yeah, I think you'll need to go through them because our committee did not get a chance to review them.
Okay, study and report on assisting students with autism spectrum disorder and IDD. Next slide, please. Enrollment. 21 through, what did that say, 24? Total enrollment. The first year says 4253, and the last year says 6,182, I believe, which is 2024 is the last year. That's an incremental increase of 0.7% between 21 and 22. And however, between 22 and 24, the increase was by 36%. So that's good. Okay. Imagine if that curve keeps that steep slope. Okay. Enrollment by ethnicity. Let me try to do something on my screen so I can read these numbers better. Among the students with ASD and IDD, white students make up the greatest ethnic group percentage, followed by Hispanic, African American, Asian, other, and unknown. This trend has remained true between 2021 through 23. Notably, between 21 and 22, there was a 5% increase in the proportion of Hispanic students enrolled. So that's good. Okay. Any comments before we go to the next slide? Anyone need more time to read these? Sue?
Yes, I also think that the reporting wasn't always necessarily accurate in the beginning. I think not everybody was reporting properly, but I think probably they're reporting better now. And also there's been an increase, but I think with the reporting and then the increase in more programs and more, more and more students are finding out, that they can go to college. I think that's probably why it's increasing too. But that's good. I'm excited to see that it's increased.
Yes.
But that's what we have to do more. Yeah.
Right. I'm still thinking about those students that didn't get identified as autism by anybody but a doctor, and how we're ever going to get them onto this report. How will they be encouraged to go into the student support office and self-identify themselves? And will they be believed? Or will they say you need to have new testing? We can't take this 10-year-old testing from a physician. I'm just curious how that is going to be reflected in this report. Maybe even just an anecdotal discussion about it is necessary. What do y'all think?
Yeah, Linda, I was just at Autism Society just to get numbers of people in Texas, just knowing that like if the CDC prevalence rate is 1 in 36, I mean, we've taken the population and been like, if 1 in 36 people, have autism, it's over like X million people with autism. You know what I mean? So even just looking at the college data where we could say these are the reported numbers, but statistically it could be as much as this, that's kind of what we've done in some of those cases when we know there's way more, just to at least call it out, that there's I don't know if there's a formal reporting system or tracking system for universities to track students with autism if they are aware of the diagnosis. So I think, all those things are might be important to note when we're having to provide data.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
wanted
if you-
to say, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just dividing 31 million people by 36 and realizing that's 155,000 people. If I did that math right. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say thank you, Jackie, for bringing that up. And I'm glad you're willing to join our team. You have a lot of great ideas. So I will definitely get your email and get you invited to our next meeting, which is next Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. And Kendra, you're doing a marvelous job. Enrollment by gender, slightly more female. And that's true of all college populations right now. In FY 2024, female students with ASD and IDD enrolled at a slightly greater percentage than male students. Thank you. Next slide. Enrollment by age. Among students with ASD and IDD, over half of enrolled individuals are over the age of 21. While this has remained true since 2021, the proportion of this group has incrementally decreased. So, anybody know in general, are they trying jobs first? What is causing them to delay a few years? Just wanting more maturity? Two raised hands. Sue and then Brenda.
I would say because of the 18 plus transition programs are more prevalent now and more are going into those as well. That could be part of it. Because they're going to an 18 plus program possibly. That could be part of it.
Okay. Thank you.
That's exactly what we're looking, we're finding out from many of our students that they're taking advantage of those 18 plus programs in order to have a little bit more more skills, more maturity, and so on and so forth before they start college. So yeah, it's great because those programs are very helpful.
So it's my correct recollection that our ISD said if you're on the regular track, maybe you're not socially developed or whatever enough, but they won't let you stay till 21 if you've done the regular track in our ISD. Is that normal, or is that not even allowed to say that? Anyone know?
I do believe they have to be on the alternative degree program in their high school to enter into the 18 plus, and then they can age out at 21 at the end of their,
Okay. So
or
some of the
whenever they
ones
turn
that are
21.
Academically high enough to go to a regular degree program may not qualify for the 18 plus. So they then have to be creative on their own for a couple of years until they're ready to try college.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Linda,
and I have some that join because they weren't able, so they kind of use our program as an 18 plus, and then they move on to credit side after they've built up their skills. So then they're using us kind of like an 18 plus, and then they go on to traditional college.
So
I've
that
seen
needs
it.
to be mentioned as a real strategy
Yeah.
for success. Okay, thank you. Jackie?
yeah, I was just going to add a couple of things. One is that I know, like Christine, that was speaking, our guest earlier, who was mentioning that, you know, how the workload is just hard. You know, it's more intense, and it's, you know, it's kind of like there's no second chance. You know, you do the work. This is what it is. This is the deadline. But some students with autism and other disabilities are able to get like some sort of relief from that by doing less credit. So if you're a full-time student and 12 hours is required at a university, you can get accommodation to do 9 hours instead. So you're managing the workload by taking like less courses. So so then that means you're going to graduate way later. You know, like someone my son knows just went to ACC for 3 years and finished his associates and transferred to a 4-year university. So, I mean, they're doing the work, but they're doing it over a longer period of time because they're taking a decreased course load. So that might also be increasing the age. And the other thing that I just thought of when you were talking about using ACC steps as a bridge program, we had Jennifer Hines, who used to work at Texas Workforce in neurodiversity and has her own young adult sons with autism. She had mentioned she did a presentation for Autism Society on transition 2 or 3 years ago, and she really strongly believed that a lot of kids with autism, even the ones college bound, people should be looking at these 18 to 21 programs a whole lot more, you know, and looking at like, are they ready? Because like they come straight out of college, and it is a really big jump to go to, I mean, they come straight out of high school, sorry, it's a big jump to go to college. And then there's not really, for some of those students that are more level 1 and lower support needs, they're not quite ready for college, but then they're done, they've gotten kind of kicked out of high school and they're done in high school. And there's no gap, there's no kind of bridging sort of program really. So she thought 18 plus services they should stay in longer and get more kind of transition services and college prep stuff, which I thought was interesting. She had mentioned.
Okay, we need to include all these strategies in our report. Christine?
Sorry, I said what I wanted to say.
Okay.
I forgot to lower my hand.
Yeah, I don't want to monopolize, but I just wanted to say that these 18 plus programs, for what I've seen, it's always been this way. It hasn't changed yet. But those that are in our Houston area that I'm aware of, most of those students in the 18 plus aren't the ones coming to our program. They're the students that are doing work-based, community-based training, supported employment types of, you know, experiences, and they're not even looking to go on. So there's a small percentage that do, but most of them that are coming to us are coming right out of high school. We're getting we might get a small number from 18 plus, but most of the 18 plus, it seems like it's more for the population that isn't quite, you know, they're done with high school, but they need more. They're not ready for work yet. They're not ready for college. They need more comprehensive training. And they're more, I noticed the schools are really more into this, a lot of community-based employment, you know, pre-ETS, the real employment, you know, supported employment type situations where they go with a group to a job site and they work as part of the the program. I've seen a lot of those in our area. They seem to be more focused on that rather than preparing them for college. And it's like the ones that go to college, they usually just come right out of high school to us. And yes, our types of programs are transition programs for students to go on to college credit programs for sure.
Thank you. That's great. So, okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, enrollment by institution type. Compared to two-year institutions, students with ASD and IDD enrolled in universities at a higher percentage in 2024 than in the previous 3 years. Okay. Enrollment by status between FY 2021 and FY 2024, most students with ASD and IDD were enrolled as part-time students, taking less than 12 credit hours in a semester. And yes, you can see the difference, 47.4 to 52.6. And then I guess I'm hoping that there's a slide about scholarships available for 12 credit hours versus higher. I don't know if we asked for that, but it would be really good to know if the availability of scholarships for 12 hours is going to be a factor in being a student. Anyway, any other thoughts or questions about this slide? Okay.
I'm actually shocked that the full-time is that large because most of ours go part-time. Because, you know, it's just easier to digest if it's less classes. So I'm actually shocked that it's that big. I'm a little bit excited about that.
Yes.
That there's that many full-timers.
Sue? You're on mute, hon.
I was saying I echo what Christine said, but I wanted to say those few slides before when we talked about, we showed the male versus female. I'm really surprised that yours more female because as long as I've been doing these programs and even more so in the last 10 years, even more so in the last 5 years, even more so in the last few years, we have a lot more male students than we do female. And most of our students are ASD. Most of them, because you know, when we started our programs, they were more ID, intellectual disability, you know, that was the major population. Now more and more are on the spectrum, and we're getting more male students than ever before. So I really was surprised when I saw there was more female. So I'm glad to hear that, but I mean, I was thinking, I was expecting it to be more male.
My daughter went to a liberal arts school at Southwestern University, and there were two females for every male. So maybe it just has to do with the campus or the degree type or something. But that's cool that you're getting more males. Because that's not the trend nationally right now. Okay, next slide, please.
I agree with her. We have more males than females too.
Awesome. Okay.
I wonder if it's community college versus university. I don't know.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Okay. Next slide, please. Oh, we need to do this slide. Sorry. Highest enrollment count, community and technical colleges. In 2024, about 1/3 of ASD and IDD students enrolled at Blinn College District. Okay, Blinn was 99933. Dallas 353, Alamo 317, Tarrant 169, Austin 155. I have a question. These aren't all the community colleges in Texas. Are these the one with special programs? Anyone know? Or this
It's
just
more
a
than that because I don't even
random
see the Vast
sample?
Academy on there. It's a random sample, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't even see Vast Academy, or I mean, Houston Community College is what I'm trying to say on there.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I've
you.
never heard of Blinn. I'm about to look them up.
Oh, Blinn has a special program for students who come out of IDEA. That's why it's so large. It's
I was like, it's not
it's
even on the website of
oh
what
really?
the
Huh.
Think College website. Blinn isn't on there. That's weird.
And
Yeah,
and
I've never
it's
heard of them.
centralized in Texas too, so that's also
Only the
Cool.
highest programs are listed on there, ones with the most.
okay.
Oh,
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Sue. Microphone, please.
We have to stay on top of collecting the data because we have over 200 students in VAST alone, and most of our students are on the spectrum. And then we have, when I think of all the students on the spectrum that aren't even in our program, they're just taking regular classes all over the college. I'm surprised, it can't be, the reporting is we're gonna have to find out the gaps and how we can correct that so we can capture the right numbers.
I
Okay.
agree, Sue, because we have 115 in our program alone, and there's no way there's only 40 in the rest of the college over 11 campuses. So yeah, something's off, but yeah.
Yeah, the information is based on the reporting official at the institution.
Yeah.
So
Sue, we
Okay.
got to get with our reporting
you
people
contact
again.
them.
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. The highest enrollment count in public universities. So the previous slide was community colleges. This is four-year schools, I take it. In 2024, nearly 60% of ASD and IDD students enrolled at the University of North Texas. Wow. Okay. And the rest were kind of split between A&M, Prairie View A&M, University of Texas at Austin, and University of Texas RGV. So that's interesting to know. UNT, that's why we saw you had so many good LVR and in various programs. Okay, thank you.
I think for those specific numbers, the majority of them are coming to the university and supported through several other programs, not LVR. LVR, we only currently have 27 students. So the majority of them are traditional degree-seeking students, most likely, supported through the Office of Disability, Engage, and other of our programs.
So is this truly the balance, or is it just a way of that support program is better at identifying and the different disabilities and catching the numbers?
I'm unsure because I don't know how others report theirs. I know from what we report here, we're very thorough. One of the things that I think has been a difference with UNT is that we've had now a couple of decades of neurodivergent initiatives in general and great supports for students with ASD. So I think we are known for these types of supports and services for traditional degree-seeking students, and then now, of course, with LVR. So I think we just have a history, but I'm unsure how the others report it. So I just know that our reporting is very thorough, and we do our best to do that.
Thank you very much for that analysis. Sue, we're just gonna have you keep your mic on.
I've looked into this several times with our registrar, who's been there for 40-some years, and she's insisting that the numbers are accurate. However, what she did tell me that could be the problem is that when they get the email from the coordinating board, from Wayland or whoever's sending it, it's coming to them, but I don't remember if there's a report number like a C. I think it has a letter C something in it, C something something with a number. They're only reporting those students that are taking credit classes. They're not reporting the ones who are taking continuing ed or non-credit. And most of these special type of programs that we have are non-credit continuing ed. She said if they want those numbers, then it's a different report, is what she told me. And I brought that attention that very day to Waylon, told him that because I said we need to make sure we're capturing these numbers correctly because I don't see our numbers being in any of these reports. And we have over, like I said, we've been doing this for 34 years and we have over 200 students we serve every year. Not all of them are on the spectrum, but I'm talking about just IDD in general. But even, I know that at our college, they are coded. We have a special system through our ADA Ability Services as well as our program where they get coded as whether they're in VAST or not. And then it shows what type of disability they have. So it is there. But if they're only capturing students taking credit classes, then they only can go by what's on their enrollment. What's on their enrollment, and not all of them have that information on their enrollment. And I don't know, maybe because we're a larger institution, I don't know. But I want to get to the bottom of it and make sure that we're being reported properly, because when I brought it to Mary Lemberg's, attention, who's our registrar, she told me that there's two different reports and they have different codes or different numbers. And that one of them, and Cheryl, you may know what they are, but one of them was just for semester hour classes. And there's another one when you're going to be reporting continuing ed, non-credit.
Okay.
So that's why I'm wondering if maybe that's what's going on.
So Sue, maybe we can work with Waylon, not during the meeting, but between, and maybe have a conversation or a meeting to correct this then. But we need to worry about time.
Yes.
Okay. We need to move on, I guess. Nina, this will be the last comment on this slide, and then please change slides, Kendra.
Okay, no, I was just gonna say, that I agree with everything that has been said. If there is a second report that is being sent out and data being collected, we definitely need to have this included in our report. I know that, our program, we don't get contacted at the university level for our, specialized program. And that this is only, it looks like, the students that are using the Office of Disability Supports. But even some of those numbers even still look low for me, because you know how big UT is. That's a small number. But I would like to be included in those conversations you're having to correct these reports, because it impacts our subcommittee work. So definitely keep me and Ed posted on that. Thanks.
Okay, sure. New slide, please. Methodology. We'll go through these pretty quickly. These are all the definitions. The next slide, please. And I'll send this out to you.
The data sources right there, someone was asking about the CB. The numbers, they're on that slide.
Okay, thank you.
And let me say something else real quick. On one of the previous slides, IDD was listed as individual developmental disabilities, and it actually stands for intellectual and other developmental disabilities, just for clarification.
Okay, thank you. Intellectual and other developmental disabilities. Okay. Next steps. The people on our committee, if you're not listed by a committee, please let us know your choice. We'd love to have you join a committee and contribute and be involved as you can. We probably need to say that committees need to at minimum be meeting monthly, or maybe even every other week or weekly, until you feel that you have all the data. But our goal is that by April, there's a very strong rough draft that we will have in our April meeting that only needs to be polished. And please the bibliography, if you plan to use an article, please do that part first and then put in the rest of your verbiage. And committee chairs, if you could establish a regular day and time to meet with me, I'll make time for that day and time and meet you at your convenience. So that's what I would say about next steps. Is there any discussion or ideas about next steps? Any way you see it being that you want to share with us? Okay, I really, really appreciate the work that you all have done. You've been awesome. And now we're down to announcements and our next meeting, but there's one housekeeping article I want to talk about. We've been sharing good URLs in the chat, and sometimes on a Zoom chat, when you click on the three dots, there's a way to save the chat and have all those URLs. But that is not happening on this Zoom today. So I need a volunteer to save all those, please, so that they don't get lost. I'm just not in a good position to do it myself right now. And after the YouTube is over, maybe we should even keep this open until that's done. And I'd also like to recognize that Lauren Woolfolk is here. Has anyone else joined since? Lauren, do you want us to introduce yourself for our new members that are here today? Okay, well, maybe we'll get to you later then. Okay. Now we are at announcements. Erin, you've been following the discussion about proposed rule changes in course drops. Do you have any update about that by any chance?
I don't, no.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Or does anybody else have any announcements for our group that they would like to share right now?
Yeah, if you don't mind, one of our UNT our students received one of the highest awards by the Division of Autism and Developmental Disability at the national level. Pilar Rivera, who is from the Austin area, received that just this week. We have it all over social media, so if you want to see her receiving the award, but it was, again, selected from many different students with IDD across the nation in a great honor. So we're very proud of her, as we are with all of our students. So
where did she go to get the award?
She went to Florida to get the award with her family, and some of our staff members were there. So unfortunately, I could not travel last minute. So, but yeah, but you can see all the pictures and everything else there.
Excellent. Congratulations. Sue? Microphone.
Thank you. Awesome. I wanted to tell you, Lauren, one of our students, she's our president of our Eagles Club also. One of our student leaders, she's going to be graduating in May from our Vast Academy. Her name is Lauren, but we had a partnership. We partnered with the AAPD, the American Association of People with Disabilities. Maria Town, who used to be our mayor's office director for people with disabilities, is now the president of the AAPT in Washington. So they got a grant last year, and they partnered with us because they wanted our students to be able to facilitate this event that we did back in when we did it back in early October, and it was to recruit disabled poll workers and raise awareness about voting, elections, and poll workers. And they got $500 stipends. Each of these, we had 5 students. They got $500 stipends for doing this. And they wrote a skit. I mean, and that was an awesome thing in itself. But while we were there, Maria came from Washington to Houston, and she told them about this internship program. There was an internship program in the summer, and they all applied. And one of our students, she made it to the second round, and she became a finalist. And she actually is selected to do a paid internship in Washington, D.C. this summer. So we're so excited about that. Her name is Lauren, and she's going to be graduating in May, and then she's going to do her internship in Washington, D.C. So I don't think when I heard you mention yours, I was like, let me share that because that's pretty exciting.
Thank you very much. Okay, that's excellent. The last thing we need to do is to decide on the next meeting date for our quarterly meeting. It probably should be April, but there's a little bit of flexibility. Thinking about the college calendar, are there good or bad times in April? Does anyone want to suggest a meeting day or time? Or do you want to go home and do a doodle poll in the next week?
I'll just throw out the 4th or 11th.
Okay.
I am so sorry. The 4th of or 11th of what month?
April.
April, thank you.
It's a Friday morning. Both of those are fine with me. Show of hands. Who could come on the 4th? Raise your hand. Okay, or raise something. Yeah, okay. Who could come on the 11th? Okay. Why don't we try for the 4th? That means that we need a rough draft by the 4th of April. Is that okay? Or do we need to postpone it to the 11th or even after? Okay, rough draft by the 4th. I so appreciate all of you. You have just been marvelous in getting started. And at this point, may we have a motion to close?
This is Christine. I motion to close.
Okay, second, anyone?
This is Nina, I second.
Okay, Nina seconds. Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no. Seeing none, this motion passes and our meeting is now adjourned at 11:58 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
to our new members.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for such excellent support. Still recordings.